Ow.
Alright guys, for today's video, I'm recording this currently about 8 or so hours before this big ass winter storm is supposed to be coming through and dropping a bunch of stuff. And seeing the fact that I live in Charlotte, we're going to be getting sleet and freezing rain and ice because we're never lucky enough to get snow. So I thought I would take this time to just do one of those videos that everyone loves where I just out here and I point at stuff about things you can do to try and make sure you are ready and your car is ready for winter, like winter driving sort of deals. First and foremost, let me preface this. I just told you what we're supposed to be getting here in Charlotte, and I want to reinforce this for all the other people that move from the north or whatever, that come down from New York, Massachusetts, whatever, and come down here because they're fleeing their tyrannical state because they can't afford to live there from all the policies they vote for, so they decide to come to the south. Let me tell you this. Despite the driving that you think you may have been able to do up there, it is not the same down here. You may think you know how to drive in the winter and on snow and all that stuff up there. I assure you, you do not know how to drive down here, nor does anyone else, because we don't hardly really ever get snow, okay? If we do get snow, driving on snow isn't that bad. Just give yourself a little bit more distance, but down here, we pretty much just get ice, and no one, I don't care where you're from, can drive on ice unless you are a rally driver with a four-wheel drive or an all-wheel drive car with studded tires. No one can drive on ice. So if a storm's coming through and say it's going to be freezing rain and ice, stay your ass home. Or by the time everything melts away, your car will be sitting there sideways upside down a ditch, and everyone can point and laugh because you're a dumbass thinking that you can drive more than you actually can. So now, with that all being said, let's just say in general it's going to be a winter, fingers in the way, normal winter weather thing that you can typically kind of drive in just like snow or something like that. A few things you want to remember. Depends on where you live. If you live someplace that's very snowy, like up north or whatever, generally you will have a set of winter tires, which is good. It's a different compound. The treads are different to give you maximum sort of grip in the snow as you drive down the road. That's all well and good if you live there. If you live someplace to where you don't really get snow at all, you'll generally run around on all season sort of tires, like the Goodyear, what is this? Yeah, Goodyear Assurance or whatever it is. Doesn't matter, but they're all season kind of tires. They can suffice in the snow as long as you have as much tread as possible. Okay, so that's pretty good amount of tread. The lower your tread gets down, the more flat your tire becomes, and the more it's just kind of like a ski as opposed to it is a actual tire tread. So you want more tread, more ways to get that snow out, more little grip surface to actually go around and try and possibly grab on the road, okay? Make sure you have good tires. Plain and simple. Don't try and drive in snow on summer tires, although it may be fun. Okay? At least all seasons, if not winter tires. Now we're down here looking at tires. Make sure that your air pressure is full. Every bit of lower that the temperature is in your car, or I'm sorry, the temperature is outside, the air itself inside will compress and you'll lose actual PSI pressure in the tires. All right, so the air shrinks up because there's less energy, the molecules become closer. So about every 10 to 15 degrees, you can lose 1 to 2 PSI of actual air pressure in your tires, so you want to make sure those are topped off. Now, with that being said, if you have a newer car, and a lot of times newer cars, they come with nitrogen-filled tires, and you would know that by looking at your, assuming you haven't already like added stuff to it, but if you look at your valve stem, it would be like a silver valve stem cap with a green in it, and green in the top tip. That usually says that you're filled with nitrogen. Nitrogen is more inert and it's not affected by the temperature, so there's really no fluctuation in pressure. That's a good thing. The bad thing about nitrogen is it costs you money. You can't just grab the air from the outside, pump it in there. So you want to keep nitrogen in your tires, you have to go to like a tire shop to make sure it gets refilled with nitrogen and pay for the nitrogen itself. Okay, that's for tires. For your battery, make sure your battery is good. Okay, on the newer side and up to charge. The colder the weather gets, the more that the battery struggles in turning over the car. Is like it becomes less efficient. Like they store longer that way, but it's less efficient. There's less cold cranking amps. You'll notice that your car will turn over really fast in the summer. You go to do it in the winter, it'll start to drag a little bit. That's because the battery is just cold and it's having to struggle against it. The higher the cold cranking amps. So when you look at a battery, you'll have cranking amps and cold cranking amps. Cranking amps will generally be higher than cold cranking amps. When you buy a battery, you want to go with something that has good cold cranking amps, not just a really high cranking amps, because cold cranking amps is what matters when it's cold, hence the name. That gives you more reserve power to turn over the car when it is cold. Make sure that the battery is good. Make sure that it is charged. If your car has been sitting around for a few days, you don't drive it a whole lot, and you may need it during or after a storm or in cold weather. You may just want to pull it out, put it on a charger, make sure it's fully charged, and put it back in your car so it's ready to go. Okay? That. Now we're going to go back here, talk about the gas tank, which is filler next on the other side. But if you just watched my last video about how women will kill their cars by running the gas too low, this is an add-on to that. If you haven't watched that, go watch it. But when it comes to wintertime, especially, you risk, obviously it's cold, and you risk freezing up the fuel lines and all the water vapor and stuff that fills up in the gas tank. So the gas tank will, the lower the gas goes, the more gas or air will take up the space that the gas is left in the gas tank, and as that air comes in, the gas tanks are vented to the outside, so it's pulling in air that has moisture in it. That air sits in the gas tank. The lower the amount of gas, the more air is in there, the more moisture, the colder it is, the more that freezes. It can freeze up your gas tank, freeze up your fuel lines. Okay, so at a minimum for winter, half tank or above. If you got got a big storm coming in or something like that, just fill your car up. Okay, it's not going to do anything. It's just going to sit there and just give you peace of mind. And then also too, if you are driving down the road and or you get stuck, the more gas you have in your car, the more you can run your car at idle to run the heat so you don't freeze in the weather. Okay. Now we're going on to that point. While we're in the car, we want to make sure we have a few things to go ready in the car. First and foremost, get yourself a window scraper. Okay. I have seen too many times, especially down here, that some people, like, it'll ice up, and we get like a lot of ice and stuff freezes all the time, but people still don't have ice scrapers, so they'll be out here trying to scrape off their windshield with a credit card or their license, being stupid. That doesn't really work. Okay. You want to make sure you have a dedicated ice scraper. Okay. If you want, if you know like a storm is coming through that's going to be bringing sleet and freezing rain, whatever, we want to make sure that we have our wipers that will be able to be used when we actually get to the point of driving. So what you'll do is you'll take and just pick your wipers up and leave them up like this, so they do not get frozen to the windshield. Okay. If they get frozen to the windshield, you cannot do anything to the car to move whatever until you were to say to run the car, warm up the car enough to where it will start melting all this the ice and stuff on the windshield to then break free the windshield wipers. And if you just go and try and yank it while it's frozen, you risk ripping all the rubber strip off, and then you're not going to be able to do anything anyways. It won't do anything like that. And this is another thing that a lot of people do, which is really dumb, is like, oh, I have ice on my windshield. Let me just go boil some water, take some hot water, and pour it all over my windshield. Okay, first and foremost, when you have hot water, if you notice this, if you're going to boil water, cold water boils faster than hot water. That is because there's a bigger disparity in energy from the cold to the hot. Okay, same from the other side. Hot water freezes faster. All right, so if you're dumping hot water over here, it'll do a little bit of stuff, and then it'll kind of really flash freeze, and you're just kind of building up more ice on your windshield. Or secondly, what's even more awful is if you look here. So I had this crack. I bought this car brand new. Within a week, I had a rock come and fly up and chip my windshield. It happens every single time. But this crack runs from here to here, and has been replugged several times, and I'm not going to get a new windshield in it because it's out of the way. But if you have any sort of weakness in your windshield like this, and you go and try and dump hot water on something that is cold, it's going to be such a shock to the system, to the glass itself, that it can crack or take what was just a little chip and turn it into a full-on crack and spider all the way across your windshield, and then you're shit out of luck and you need a new windshield. Okay, so don't do that. Making sure you are warm enough just in case and you're driving on the road, make sure that for every passenger you would have in a car, like say this car can seat 4 or 5, make sure that you have enough blankets for every person in the car in case excuse me, you were to break down and get stuck somewhere or something like that. You want to make sure that you have enough ways to keep people warm as you sit there and wait until you can get out or you get rescued or whatever. You have normal sort of blankets, or you can go with the camping style Mylar blankets, emergency blankets that you wrap your body up in, and it reflects your body heat back at you, and it's like 98% efficient or something like that. Those take up far less space and they work as well. So you want to make sure you have that waiting on, or enough for people to make sure they are warm enough. Now let's say we are driving down the road, okay? And I want you guys to understand this, especially for people coming down here to the south. We don't have the infrastructure in the south to keep up and keep the roads well maintained, okay? They barely slag anything, even though it looks like they've slagged and brined the road a little bit leading up to the storm, which is good, but we don't have nearly the amount of salt trucks for that. We don't have nearly the amount of snow plows to clean everything off. And the thing is, once everything gets icy, like when it sleets and then a freeze rain falls on top of it, everything just becomes an ice rink, okay? So that stuff all has to melt off and you can't drive on that. So with that understanding, let's now talk about, imagine it was snowing, okay, down here, or just in general. Snow, most of the time, is usually accompanied by wind. You can see the wind coming in here, dropping the temperature down. A lot of times, if it's snowing kind of fairly decently and you're driving on the road and wind comes, you can get kind of like a whiteout. It means where you're not really being able to see anything in front of you. And even down here, that happens with the rain. It'll just pour instantly and you can't see shit at all. What you want to make sure you do is pull off to, ideally not on the side of the road. Try and get like an off ramp or something somewhere, or to a parking lot the best you can, because if you're driving down the road and you can't see and you think, oh, I'm going to be good, I'm just going to pull off to the side of the road and wait till I can see, all those other people that are driving that can't see, they're not going to see your ass on the side of the road either. So they will, well, they won't necessarily will do it, but there's a chance of them crashing into you as you sit on the side of the road. So ideally, if you pull off, try and pull off somewhere out of the way. If everyone else is stopped on the road, then no one else is going. That's all well and good. If it is snowing or colder or whatever, increase your following distance, okay? Back to the tires, every little bit of tire tread that is worn off increases your braking distance by however many feet. The lower the tread, the more you need to brake. Now add into that a slicker surface like snow or sleet or something like that, and double the amount of feet that you would normally need to stop at that same given speed. So increase your following distance vastly to make sure that you are not going to, ideally not going to crash into someone, and also slow your ass down, okay? Sure, you can go 60 miles is 60 miles an hour to get 60 miles away at the speed limit, or you can take 2 hours going 30 miles an hour in bad weather and still make it to your destination, as opposed to trying to do 60 and 60 and then crashing, ending up in a ditch upside down, and maybe potentially ending up at the hospital, okay? So slow down, increase the amount of space following you. And now, I guess kind of for my last little tip, and this isn't even really a tip for the person driving the car. This is for everyone else that's on the road. Don't be that jackass that has the car that they leave sitting out here and it's covered up in ice or snow or whatever, or snow that's melted and kind of refrozen, and you start your car. It's like, I gotta go to work. I'm gonna start my car. I'm gonna scrape off my windshield. I'm gonna get going. And you drive down the road where you got two inches of frozen snow and ice on your hood and on the roof of your car or in your truck bed or something like that, and you drive down the interstate, and then when it finally warms up enough, it grabs and goes flying off the car and flies back and hits somebody that's flying, driving down the road behind you. Do not be that jackass, okay? Take the time and get off as much of that stuff off the top of your car as you possibly can, because it's not just bad for you. You're carrying all the extra weight on your car, and there's a chance that you could slide back and get stuck in your wipers or something like that. But really, it is for everyone else on the road that could get hit with a giant wall of ice, like a plywood-sized piece of ice flying back on them, crashing, smashing their car, smashing the windshield, making them crash into something else around the road, okay? Excuse me. So, with that all being said, my hands are fucking freezing right now from standing out here doing this, because this storm is a-coming. But yeah, those are some winter driving tips, winter kind of safety tips to hopefully try and help you out. But the biggest tip that I could possibly give is stay home, all right? Unless you absolutely have to go somewhere to do something, there's an emergency or something like that or whatever, just stay home, especially if you're in the South. And especially if you're one of the Northerners that come down here thinking you're hot shit. You aren't, okay? Stay your ass home, and assuming you have power, I don't know. It's playoffs this weekend, so watch some football, or play some games with your family, or I look up adult content on the internet. I don't care. Just stay off the roads. All right, guys? That's all I got for you today. Don't be dumb, okay? If you can think of any other tips or anything that I have left out, please leave them in the comments for everyone else. All right? Like, comment, subscribe for all that stuff, and I'll see you guys next time.